Hello everyone, my name is Edwin Miller. I am the owner and founder of Insure You, where our goal is to bring timely, helpful information to you and your family to help you make the right, smart, informed decision when it comes to life and health insurance for your family and for your specific needs. I just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of talk about a situation that I encountered today, and I think that this perception out there that I want to talk about may be a little bit more prevalent in our society and in the people that are dealing with trying to or preparing for funeral expenses and things of that nature. So I was in a client, I submitted a life insurance application for a client of mine, and it wasn't very much. He just wanted enough to cover, like he wanted to be cremated. That was all he wanted. He didn't want nothing, anything really elaborate or anything like that. But meanwhile, I was there. There's a housemate there. There was a couple of guys that live here in this house. And one of the other gentlemen that was there, he was like, hey, I'd like to know what a policy would cost me. He was a good bit younger. I mean, he's a senior. But I was like, okay, let's sit down. Let's kind of go over some details because I can work with over 230 insurance companies. I only work with, maybe 10 to 20 most of the time because it's just too hard to keep track of everything. But so I was like, okay, let's sit down. Let's kind of figure out what we got going on, see where we can get the best price, which insurance company is going to be the most likely to give him a good policy at a good rate. So I sat down. We asked him. He's in relatively good health. He is drawing a Social Security disability, so that immediately puts him at a disadvantage because every insurance carrier is going to look at him as being on disability, right? So in the process of discovery, where I was trying to figure out what we could do for him, I learned that he has a relative that is concerned enough about him to help him take care of his finances, which is great. I was like, okay, we need to talk to her, right? Like, this is not just his decision. We need to figure out, like, where this money is going to be coming from to pay for the policy. So I was like, okay. I was like, okay, you have her number. Can you call her? You want me to call her? So he gave me her number. So I called her up. And we were talking, and I was talking. It was her husband that ended up kind of wanting to talk with me about it. He's like, you work with me, and then if we decide to move forward with this, we'll take care of the money issue. That won't be a problem. I'm like, okay, awesome. Let's see what we have. So I told him what I was there for. Final expense burial insurance, and he was like, okay. He wanted to have term. He'd like to see what $10,000 in term would cover. I was like, well, why? Like, what's the reason for term? He's like, well, the whole life, most of those have a 2-year waiting period, don't they? Like, you don't get the full death benefit in the first 2 years. And I was like, I mean, yeah, there are some out there like that. But what I specifically try and do is make sure that my clients don't end up in policies like that. And that's one of the reasons why I could want to represent so many companies, is because what one company covers, another company may not. And that's also why I don't just give out prices without knowing whether or not the company's going to take it. Because if I tell you one thing and the company declines you, now everyone's in a worse situation because every other insurance company we ever apply at is going to know that you got declined. Why did you get declined? So we don't want to do that if we can at all avoid it. Obviously, it's going to happen sometimes. It just does. But we want to try and eliminate as much of that as we can. Let's not waste more time than necessary in any of this stuff. So, anyhow, and he was like, he'd rather have a term. I was like, well, I try and put people in good whole life final expense products that are going to last the entire life, right? They're going to go until you die, and the premiums would never go up, and the face amount would never go down. I mean, like, that's kind of what you want in most cases when it comes to funeral or cremation, because the prices aren't really going down, they're going up. So you want something that's going to be stable. You don't want like a 10 or 15-year term that, you're 70, 75, maybe 80 years old, and now insurance is ridiculously expensive. So we want to have something that's going to last for the rest of your life. That's a stable premium. The premium doesn't go up. They don't, every 5 years ratchet it up another, 10, 20%. We want it to be stable, just stay level. And like, those are generally the best types of policies for most people because they know exactly how much it is every month. They don't have to worry about getting insurance when this runs out. So He was like, oh, okay, yeah, well, that he'd like to see what term and, what we could do with whole life as well. So that's, so I was looking at some stuff, but I mean, there's some things when you go to an older age and you're looking for something that we know for certain is going to happen, and that is death, right? Like, I mean, death is going to happen. The last thing we want is for you to have $20,000 or $30,000 worth of term insurance and then you can't use it because it expires. Like, or it becomes, it can go into what they call annual renewable term. Like, those policies are available as well. That's actually what a good bit of people have if they're in a term product and they don't really have, like, they just do it over the phone and stuff, where they'll just annually renew it. Like, every year they guarantee that they can renew it because you've been in with them for insurance for so much. But I've seen some of these policies, they're starting to go up into $500-$600, and people are like, I can't afford that, which is true. So that's why I just wanted to kind of come and bring a short video, just kind of explain why a whole life policy, when it comes to dealing with final expenses, cremation, burial, whatever you choose to do, why a final expense whole life insurance policy would, in most cases, if not all of them, be the best choice. And that is just because it can last. The right whole life insurance policy, the policies that I always try to put my clients in, they're going to stay level. The premium is never going to go down, never going to go up. The life insurance death benefit is never going to go down. It may, in some cases, it can even increase because of cash value. It can become an asset that you can borrow against if you need $1,000 here or $1,000 there. In some cases, and you like, there's certain things that you can do with some of these policies if you're in good enough health to qualify for some of these better ones. So now I hope that helps kind of explain why a whole life policy, in a lot of cases when we're talking about funeral expenses, why that makes more sense, much more sense than a term policy. So as always, never hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions at all. You can email me. You can call me. I should be able to leave my contact information. You can subscribe to my channel, comment, reach out to me, do whatever y'all want. If you have questions, just like I said, I'm always here to help. And if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to reach out to me or my team, and we will gladly answer any questions you may have. You have a great one. Thanks for watching.